What's up, everybody? Holy shit, I just watched the Such Sweet Sorrow Part 2, the Discovery Season 2 finale. What a really good finale. Part 1 really was the kind of low-key setup to what was going to happen in Part 2. And Part 2, in my opinion, definitely delivered. I mean, it was very Star Trekian as far as Star Warsian as far as the battle went. The scenes and the images and the setting was really, really cool. You know, there wasn't a time where I went, nah, this looks really fake or this looks really weird, and it pulled me out of the show. The battle and the fight and all the ships and all the different crews and everything, and you know, because we had a lot of moving parts in this finale. So there was Saru's sister, the Klingons, there was you know, the Enterprise, the Discovery, and of course there was all the ships that Leland, the Control, had brought. There was just a ton of stuff going on in this finale, but it worked perfectly, in my opinion. It worked really good. I'm going to try and touch points on some of the things. I may forget some things. I just watched it and I'm really bad at taking notes. I should probably do better about that, but I did not. The Hugh storyline ended with the two of them finally kind of, you know, reaching a point where I think they finally brought themselves back together after one of them had been impaled, and he was kind of in sick bay, and you know, he had, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry guys, you can hit me up in the comments about how I'm stupid and I don't remember things, but in sick bay, one of the guys had come over and said, you know, I went to Enterprise, but decided that my home was here. I couldn't leave without you. So they, after bringing him back to life from the dead, and really him kind of going through that process of who he was, and was he even the same person that he used to be? Does he even love this guy that he thought he loved, you know, before he died, and all of that kind of stuff? And it was a really cool scene, and I may be partial sometimes to people kind of falling back in love while somebody else is on the deathbed, but that was a fun scene to watch. It's cool that they kind of mended their fences and are back. Hopefully, you know, they're both okay. We didn't see the guy who got impaled. We didn't see kind of him. He was in a coma still, I believe. He didn't come out of it by the end of the episode. Giorgio and Control, that story came to a head as well. The fighting scene that they had in the ship while the gravity was being fucked with, and so they were having to kind of jump. It looked like the ship was turning, but the gravity was all jacked up, so they were having to jump, you know, all around the ship in order to fight and kind of do all of that kind of stuff. It was cool. It was choreographed really well. The fight went off really well. Captain Giorgio always has some kind of you know, always has some kind of backup plan, or always has some kind of something to ensure that she kind of gets her way. And while they're fighting through the whole episode, she gets him into the spore drive room, and she magnetizes it, she says. So she's able to kill Control, Leland, by essentially kind of tearing him apart, and that's kind of what it looked like once everything kind of came off of him. It was really cool though. They're pretty much hour-long fight. I think it might have been like 40 minutes of the show or 30 minutes of the show or something. Was really cool, and I think that Discovery does really well when it comes to these staged fights and these choreographed scenes where they have to do, you know, weird things. Like I said, they were jumping on the walls and things like that, and it just came off cool to me, and it was fun for her to get a little bit of revenge on this guy who she seemed to always think was below her anyways. So it was just fun to see her kind of get that revenge on him, and you know, in the killing of him. Whether or not it set up a Borg backstory. I am not familiar enough with the Borgs to really know if that was the case or not. Albie, would know. Dom would probably know. Leave a comment down here if what you think, because I don't know much about the Borgs. I'm not a big Star Trek guy. Discovery just happened to land in my lap in season 1, and I've just been in love with it ever since then. But I'm not a big Star Trek guy, so I don't really know if that's kind of where it ended up or where it's supposed to go or none of that stuff. So let me know what you guys think. But otherwise, the Spock and the Michael Burnham story went to a head as well, and now we know why Spock has never mentioned having a sister at all. So after everything's powered up and everything's charged and she jumps in the suit, they figure out that they're in a loop. After they land on a different part of the battle scene, and they figure out that they're in a loop, and that why Michael has been jumping back and forth between time to these spots and to be the signal that everybody had been looking for throughout the season is because she was going back in time, making sure that she had everything and everybody that she needed in order to finally win this this final loop. So the reason that she went to Saru and his sister was so that she could come. She's at these different points in their timeline to ensure that the Klingons come and that Saru's people come for the battle. So she's just ensuring that they're there to win, and that's kind of what they learn. Once they close the loop, Spock gets beamed off. Originally, Spock's ship was stranded where it was. The engines weren't working, but once Georgiou killed Control, they were able to bring their energy shields back up, and they were able to beam Spock to the Enterprise. And so Spock goes to the Enterprise, and Michael escorts the Discovery off into the future where Control or anybody else can't get a hold of this sphere data. Which is weird. That's kind of the weird point to me. While I was watching the show, that stuck out to me in my mind was that once Georgiou killed Control / Leland, why did they have to jump to the future? Because apparently Control was done with at that point. There was not, unless they thought there was another force out there that might be doing the same thing or similar thing, or they might do it in the future. I don't know. There wasn't really a specific reason why they still had to jump forward, in my opinion, and maybe I'm not remembering the story right. So, but for me, it was okay. They have to do this in order to satisfy why Michael has never been mentioned in Star Trek before, and that felt like a forced issue to me. But so Burnham escorts Discovery into the future, which is also weird because in the future there's going to be robots and other things that might be able to use the sphere as well. So the whole thing is weird at that point. Time travel's funky just to begin with, but it was a beautiful scene. It was really cool watching the Discovery go through the warp, the hole into the future, and watching everybody's face kind of fade backward on the Discovery as you're going through it. It was a really cool scene, cinematically, it looked pretty. It looked really cool. After that, and again, I don't know much about the Federation. I don't know much about Star Trek. So when Discovery's gone, when Michael Burnham's gone, the good guys have won. We go back to what looks like the Federation home base, but they come off like bad guys. They come off like villains. The guy who's speaking to every single person, he's speaking to number one, he's speaking to Captain Pike, he's speaking to Spock and all them. He the way they focus on his mouth and you don't see the rest of his face, and the way when he's talking you can see the spit kind of from both lips and stuff. Like, they're all things that made me feel like that they were the bad guys, which I don't know if they are or they were at some point or something like that, but it was weird to me, and some of that is probably because I don't watch Star Trek. So that was weird, but during that point, everybody says that Discovery was blown up instead of, because they don't want anybody to know that Discovery made it to the future. So everybody's story is that Discovery was blown up, Michael Burnham died, and that, you know, that was kind of the end of it. And so Spock comes up with some kind of rule in the Federations. I'll put it up here once I look it up and find it, but as to why, you know, he cites this rule and he says, you know, you're treasonous if you talk about the Discovery or if you talk about Michael Burnham or any of those kinds of things. So you could be treated like a traitor if you mention any of the events that happened that day. And that's the reason that this show explains why nobody ever knew that Spock had a sister, or that, you know, Discovery ever existed, or any of that kind of stuff. So that was it's hard to believe that word would never get out, because there were so many moving pieces on this battlefield. But that was the device used to ensure that everything was knitted up into canon. And, you know, whether it was good or not is up to you guys. I enjoyed it. I don't know much about the canon, though, and that might be my problem. Because it does feel like it was, everything that was happening was to ensure canon stayed the way it did. So I don't know much about Pike. Him seeing himself die when he grabbed the time crystal, let me know, guys, if that's something that happens to him eventually. But otherwise, I think that's pretty much everything was tied up in a nice bow, which is really weird for season finales. Generally, there's some kind of mystery left. I guess the big mystery is, where do we go from here? Like, if nobody's supposed to talk about the Discovery, do we just assume that they are cloaked in the future and they've all made different names for themselves in the future? Like, is it okay? I mean, I know that there are, you know, a couple more Star Trek shows being developed. There's a Section 31 one, I think, being developed, and then there's another one with some of the original cast. Maybe the original cast one that's being redeveloped touches on the Discovery a little bit, and that's how they kind of button it up in universe. But who knows? You know, I didn't look to see if there was a season 3 announcement at all, or if there has been in the past. Because at San Diego Comic-Con, generally they have the panels and all that stuff listed, so you know that there's an upcoming season about to happen. So, but I really enjoyed the season finale of Discovery. I really enjoyed season 2. I think I liked it better than season 1, just because it seemed to be glued together a little bit better, even though I thought season 1 was cool too. But if you guys have any thoughts on Star Trek season 1 or 2 Discovery, or the final, or any thoughts about Star Trek at all, let me know down in the comments area. Like I said, I'm not the most well-versed Star Trek person there is out there, and I know that. If you want to berate me down there, you're more than welcome to. But you can always leave us a comment here. You can always hit us up at outsidethelongbox@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail at 970-573-6148. You can hit me up at facebook.com/thinkingoutsidethelongbox, where there is a new episode that just came out yesterday. It was late, but it was still yesterday. Episode 110 came out, so check that out. Give it a listen. We talk about all kinds of stuff: Captain Marvel, Pokemon Go. We talk about Christopher Walken. I mean, there is a ton of stuff. So what's up, everybody? If you notice that there was a change in scenery there, apparently my phone overheated, which is a thing, I guess. And so it shut everything off, so I got rudely cut off. But I was just saying, go check out the new episode. It's on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes. It's on our website at www.totlb.com. You can stream it from there. It's everywhere. Everywhere you can find a podcast, you can download it. Episode 110. We do have like I mentioned in the last video, the Frank Gogol episode will come out. The Frank Gogol interview will come out Friday or Saturday, sometime this weekend. And then Iona class, we interviewed about No Gods, No Dungeon Masters. That interview would probably come out mid next week. So we still got a couple of cool interview episodes coming out soon before we drop another real episode. But check out the normal episode that just dropped yesterday. Otherwise, like I said, www.totlb.com. All of our other social media accounts, you can always hang out with us there. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. It's Thursday, I think. Have fun, go do something fun. I will catch you guys later.